Space Cargo Ship LL924 calls C1R0, do you copy? Over. C1R0, do you copy? Over.
C1R0 here. How can I help you?
We need a new forklift here. Can you send one? I have to load the ship and take off.
Can't hear you. Repeat, can't hear you. There is a disturbance.
Come on, you stop it. I know you're faking it.
Okay. How much time do you give me?
Not much. Departure is scheduled in 30 minutes.
That is quick. I better not to lose any time then.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm gonna change my spacesuit now. I want the fork ready before I'm back.
Aye, sir. The Lego part 3430C03. According to reliable dedicated websites, this part came only in 2 sets back in the day. One is the iconic space cruiser, set number 924 or 487, released in 1978. And the other one is a small set of spare parts, the set number 131, named Gray Space Elements, released in 1980 or 1981. This makes it a quite rare Lego part. Buy this Lego part online on dedicated websites will cost you something from 16.90 to 56.94 euros, depending on its condition. But let's not buy it. Let's not do what's most convenient for a change. Let's at least try to recreate a forklift from scratch, just for the sake of fun.
I am back and yet the fork is not ready.
Still working on it. Go amuse yourself a bit. Come back in a while.
They just don't make droids like they used to.
So this is all what I have to start with. No fork, no spring, no nothing but the must. I picked it up in my friend's shop, right from the plastic basins full of bricks I was talking about in the previous video. I have never had one of these when I was a kid, but since lately I grew a passion for collecting vintage bricks. I spotted it right away amongst the other bricks in the tub, and I picked it up anyway, even if it was missing the fork and of course the spring. Lucky enough, I was also able to pick up its counterpart, which is a much more common Lego part. That is the black forklift with the yellow fork. This one I have completed with the fork, but also without spring. Forklift already replaced.
What is that? You've gotta be kidding me. I want a gray fork. Understand, you bald head?
They just don't make masters like they used to. So what I'm about to do now is copy this yellow fork in order to recreate another one in the color I want. I mean, he wants. In an attempt to make the reproduction of the fork as easy as possible, I tried to break down its structure. So I made a first division of it into 3 macro portions, that is 2 external portions and an inner portion. The L-shaped frontal part, the L-shaped posterior part, the inner core. I later found out that the inner core could further be broken down into a sequence of layers, each one having the thickness of 1 mm.5, which is exactly the thickness of the piece of ABS plastic I found to be the most proper for the realization of this project. So I divided the core into 3 U-shaped layers to be overlapped one on top of each other and glued together at a later time. Didn't expect it to be this complicated.
You want to give up?
Master did not program me to give up.
I just knew I could count on you, my friend.
You bet. In order to forge a new fork, I plan to use some fine ABS plastic. I searched a long time the proper brick for this project, until I came across this one, the box of a Lego remote control, which I found loose, floating in the plastic basin along with the other bricks, and I decided to pick it up anyway, just because I had the feeling that someday would have come handy. Well, that day has finally come. Let's cut it out. I started making myself colored templates, one for each portion of the fork in a 2:1 scale using thick cardboard. That is what you see in the top left corner of the video. To cut plastic scraps, I usually use a Japanese saw called dozuki, which is an extremely thin saw. The only thing though, while using a dozuki saw, you require to utter genuine, convincing Japanese sounds. Shinzo koda yodosan koda say.
Wow, you never told me you spoke Japanese.
You never asked. Here I'm carving the bottom part of the core, so to make the little hook that holds down the spring stand out from the rest. 心臓だ。挙動3コロ。Here I'm gluing the core with the frontal portion. I first applied on the frontal surface of the core a thin layer of transparent plastic because I didn't want the fork to make too much friction with the mast. Then I glued the posterior portion with the rest.
You're done or not? This training drive is killing me.
Not done yet.
Oh, come on, man.
Now that the fork is done, I need a spring that fits. It has to be a tension spring, not a compression spring. To be honest, I didn't know nothing about the size of the spring that originally came with this fork, so I have tried many springs, always in vain. And right when I was on the verge of hanging myself, like this Pinocchio here, I finally came across the perfect spring. I am quite sure that this spring comes from a typing machine, and this is the size of it compared to that one of a Lego minifig.